Hi, thank you for watching Digging to China. I'm Dong Sheng. When it comes to bullet trains, manufacturing plants, and Olympic medals, China regularly eats India's lunch. But India is proving competitive with its East Asian rival in one important area: vaccine diplomacy. Both China and India have made their responses to COVID-19 central to their global diplomatic outreach. Xi Jinping has called Chinese-made vaccine a global public good. Mr. Xi links medical supplies to the Health Silk Road, part of China's ambitious Belt and Road Initiative. India takes vaccine diplomacy equally seriously. In Parliament on Wednesday, March 17, Foreign Minister Jaishankar declared that the country's vaccine friendship programs has raised India's standing and generated great international goodwill. Donating or exporting medical supplies allows Beijing and New Delhi to burnish their soft power, showcase their technological prowess, give their firms footholds in new markets, and boast to their domestic audience that they are major players on the world stage. With Western nations preoccupied with inoculating their own populations, the Asian giants are jostling to make the most of the opportunity. The leaders of Sri Lanka and Dominica personally received shipments of Indian-made vaccines at the airport, and the Mongolian Prime Minister took an Indian-made shot. Chinese vaccines have inoculated Turkey's Erdogan, Indonesia's Joko Widodo, and the president of Shela. In Europe, Chinese vaccines have established a foothold in Serbia, Hungary, North Macedonia, and Montenegro. India's massive pharmaceutical industry accounts for about 20% of the world's genetic medicines and more than 60% of all global vaccine production. A foreign ministry website lists 72 countries that have received about 60 million doses of Indian-made COVID vaccines. A private firm, Serum Institute of India, along with the Anglo-Swedish firm AstraZeneca and the Maryland-headquartered Novavax, has pledged 1.1 billion doses to COVAX, the World Health Organization-led effort to supply vaccines to the world's poorest countries. According to official statistics, which is widely disputed by experts, Beijing has done a much better job than New Delhi of containing the pandemic at home. Only about 5,000 Chinese nationals have died, compared with about 160,000 Indians. Independently verified figures are hard to come by, but the Chinese-led vaccine diplomacy is much narrower if it's a lead at all. According to a recent essay in Foreign Affairs by Yang Zhonghuang, a global health expert at the Council on Foreign Relations, so far, Chinese firms have received orders for roughly 572 million doses and promised another 10 million to COVAX. The Chinese Foreign Ministry said its plans to provide free vaccine to 69 countries and sell them to another 28 countries. New Delhi's partners in the Quad, which is a loose grouping of the US, Japan, Australia, and India, stepped in to turbocharge India's efforts. At a virtual summit, the Quad pledged to supply at least 1 billion doses of vaccines, including one developed by Johnson & Johnson, to Indo-Pacific nations by the end of next year. The US, Japan, and Australia will fund the production and the delivery of the vaccines by a private Indian firm, Biological E. Australia will use its regional logistics expertise to deliver them. Pooling their strength makes sense for Quad countries, and the vaccine initiative ought to quiet critics who view the group as little more than a talk shop. The focus on Southeast Asia pushes back directly against Beijing's efforts to dominate the region. But both the new initiative and the success of New Delhi's vaccine diplomacy offer a broader lesson for India. it is much more likely to achieve its objectives by collaborating closely with Western democracies than by embarking upon a quest for self-reliance. Against a backdrop of rising nationalism, the Modi government has portrayed its vaccine effort as part of a successful quest to create a self-reliant India. It rushed through emergency approval of a domestic vaccine developed by an Indian drug maker, Bharat Biotech, despite its not yet having completed phase 3 trials at the time. On March 1st, a nurse administered the still unproven India vaccine to Mr. Modi. In reality, India's vaccine prowess comes from collaboration, not self-reliance. Take Serum Institute, the firm that gives India much of its COVID vaccine muscles by pumping out 2.5 million doses a day of the AstraZeneca vaccines, and by collaborating with other Western firms, including Novavax. The Made in India vaccine India diplomats tout was developed by AstraZeneca in collaboration with Oxford University and with financial assistance from the US. Serum Institute took a risk by commencing manufacture of the AstraZeneca vaccine before it was clear that it would be approved by the WHO, the UK, or India. But that risk was underwritten in part by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, which promised to offset potential losses. So far, the AstraZeneca vaccine has been approved by the WHO and widely welcomed in many countries. China vaccines panned by critics for poor data transparency and, in some cases, a low efficacy rates lack this international recognition if Indian-made COVID vaccines are welcomed around the world. It's in part because they are backed by the transparency and the rigor of Western medicine. Often funding by Western NGOs adds to their attractiveness. There's nothing wrong with India's ambition to develop a homegrown vaccine, but as the country's own experience shows, India does best when it's open and collaborative and takes a little help from its Western friends. Last Thursday, India has temporarily suspended vaccine exports as the government gives priority to an expansion of its domestic immunization campaign. An Indian government official said exports could be suspended or delayed until the end of April due to the recent surge in infections and the expansion of the government's vaccine program. Exports could also resume earlier depending on supplies, he said. India has already exported more than 60 million doses to 77 countries, mostly from the Serum Institute through a mix of donations, commercial agreements, and the COVAX initiative. Those exports include 5 million doses to the UK, 4 million to Brazil, 7 million to Morocco, and 3 million to Saudi Arabia in January and February as part of the commercial deals. The countries had sought additional supplies, which would be delayed. People familiar with the matter said. The Indian official said a new production facility in the southern city of Bangalore for vaccine maker Bharat Biotech was expected to be up and running by the end of April or early May, easing the squeeze on supplies. Thank you for watching. Please leave a comment and subscribe to my channel. Just click the subscribe button right here. I'll see you again shortly.